Call of Duty has had some really big business model changes over the last few years, but before Modern Warfare 2019, we were getting new DLC packs every few months. Now, certain games like Black Ops 2 and Ghost had some really good DLC, but other COD titles, they weren't so lucky. Welcome to the page, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. Today, we're going to take a look through Call of Duty history. We're going to look at some of the absolutely worst DLC packs ever released, both old and new. Some of these you're going to raise your eyebrows and be like, I forgot those even existed. Let me know which one disappointed you the most. Make sure you're subscribed with those notifications turned on. And let's start off way back with United Front in COD World War II. Now, Call of Duty World War II launched with a serious lack of content, so the DLC, it needed to work. I mean, honestly, it started pretty strong, and Sledgehammer did add some free content to help make up for things, but reception was mixed all year. Now, United Front was the third DLC pack released for the game, and it really didn't have any redeeming qualities. It contained only 3 multiplayer maps, 1 map for the war mode, and 1 zombies map, which, that sounds okay on paper, but the content itself was average at best, which wasn't what COD World War II needed at that time. Those 3 maps were all either average or bad, depending on who you asked, and the war map Operation Supercharge, it wasn't a fan favorite. Then you had the zombies map, which was, I think, the Tortured Path, and as you guys probably already know, COD World War II Zombies didn't go over so well. The Tortured Path wasn't the worst map in the game, but it wasn't very memorable, especially to longtime fans of the series. The other DLC packs in COD World War II at least had some solid multiplayer maps or slightly redeeming zombies maps, but United Front, it was weak all the way around. Now, the multiplayer content sucked, and the zombies content was average at best. COD World War II had a really rough start, and this DLC pack, it wasn't going to win anybody back. Before we move on, guys, if you are getting anything in the item shop for Call of Duty, consider code CHAOS, all caps, and if you do, please take a screenshot and get it to us so we can showcase you guys on the channel as well. Big shout out to everybody that use it. Big shout out to Call of Duty for making me a COD partner with that creator code. Now, let's go back to Modern Warfare 3. The Content Pack 2, that's what it was called. You guys remember Content Packs. Modern Warfare 3 did DLC a little differently than other COD titles. Instead of doing the usual 4 DLC drops spaced out throughout the year, Modern Warfare 3 released a content pack once a month that added new maps and content to the mix. I liked it. It was a nice way to split things up in a more frequent manner, and there were some really good DLC packs, but Content Pack 2, not so much. Usually a content pack would add between 2 and 4 maps. Heck, Content Pack 5 had 7 maps added to the game, but then you had this one, released in February of 2012, and you know what it added? 1 map. You know what that map was? Overwatch. Does anybody even remember this map? Hardly anybody does. I don't know who decided to release a content pack with only 1 map, but this map wasn't even memorable, so what was the point? Why not just cancel Content Pack 2 and add that 1 map to Pack 3? Players were pretty let down, and that's totally fair. The Modern Warfare 3 DLC model was good, and it kept the content rolling at a nice pace, but I don't understand this one. 1 map. Seriously. Moving on. Retribution in Infinite Warfare. The 4th and final DLC pack for IW. Now, Retribution was just kind of sad. Infinite Warfare had a lot of potential. I still think it got a little too much hate, but the DLC really didn't do much to win people back. This pack contained 4 multiplayer maps that absolutely nobody remembers. It also added a zombies map, the Beast from Beyond, which was kind of forgettable compared to the rest of the maps. For all its faults, Infinite Warfare had some really good zombies maps, and I know some people that bought the DLC just for the zombies content. But despite people talking about maps like Zombies in Spaceland and Attack of Radioactive Thing, nobody remembers the Beast from Beyond. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't memorable. And in a game like Infinite Warfare, Activision really needed the zombies to carry it. I mean, nobody was buying the DLC for more multiplayer maps, so the zombies had to do the heavy lifting. By the time the Retribution DLC came out, though, most of the community had moved on, and what few players were left, they were disappointed. It was just an overall weak conclusion to Infinite Warfare's particularly weak DLC offerings. Now we move to Modern Warfare Remastered. The Variety Map Pack. MWR was a great game, all things considered. It helped people stay invested in the franchise during the Infinite Warfare cycle, and it also introduced a lot of new COD players to classic gameplay. However, the way the game was handled on the business side, no. Not only was the game itself bundled with the deluxe edition of Infinite Warfare, meaning you had to drop $80 if you wanted to play it, but a little while after launch, someone thought it would be a fantastic idea to remaster COD 4's DLC and sell it for more than it was originally worth back in 2008. The Variety Map Pack was the one and only DLC released for COD 4. It included 4 maps: Kill House, Creek, Broadcast, and Chinatown. Now, if you know your COD history, which I know most of you do, those were some good maps. Nobody was upset about these maps being remastered for MWR, but the problem was you had to pay for them again after we already dropped $80 on the game. Now keep in mind, that this remastered DLC was released before MWR was available to purchase on its own, and the remastered version was more expensive than the 2008 original, which makes no sense. In the gaming industry, it's kind of common courtesy to include DLC as part of the main package or is just left out, but Activision's decision to charge for it after people were pissed off over how Modern Warfare Remastered was distributed, it was a bad move. These maps were good. The map pack itself was solid, all things considered, but the distribution strategy, it stepped way over the line at that time. It caused a lot of controversy, and it's a shame because this game was good, but it was largely ignored by the community due to the way it was handled by the suits at Activision. Raven Software, they did a great job with MWR, and they deserve to get way more props than they did. Now we move on to the Black Ops Pass. Black Ops 4. Who remembers this? I remember Black Ops 4 being revealed in an airport hangar. That's where we were. Now, unlike other COD games, Black Ops 4 really had one DLC available for purchase. Ironically, it was also the last Call of Duty game to have paid DLC. The Black Ops Pass was $50. It included a whole year's worth of content, but compared to other DLCs and the other COD games, it was bad. Not only was the content flow extremely slow compared to other drop schedules in COD, but the content itself was crappy. There was 12 multiplayer maps, 3 of which were remakes, and the remaining 9 were subpar. They also took forever to come out, leaving players out to dry for months. There was also 5 zombies maps added to the mix, and while those were pretty decent, most would argue they weren't worth the price of admission. Black Ops 4 was a decent game, but the Black Ops Pass model? No. Not only did you have to buy everything instead of picking and choosing the stuff you really wanted, it was one-time charge $50. Come on. Now, okay, the final one. Let's go to Advanced Warfare. Ascendance. I mean, did Advanced Warfare have any good multiplayer maps when it came out? You guys let me know. Despite the game being fundamentally solid, the maps really weren't that memorable. In the DLC, it didn't make things much better. Then you had the Exo Zombies mode, which was a decent idea, but really wasn't executed very well. Ascendance was arguably the most underwhelming DLC pack in COD history, if you ask me, because it honestly added nothing of value to any department of the game. It came with 4 multiplayer maps, 1 Exo Zombies map, and a gun. And I'm willing to bet not a single person watching this video can name any of the additions by their actual titles. Go for it. I'll give you 2 seconds. On the multiplayer side of things, you had Perplex, Site 244, Climate, and Chop Shop. Now be honest, Circle of Trust here. Do any of you remember any of those maps? This update also added the Ohm LMG. I know some of you remember that because we've covered it on videos. And finally, you had Exo Zombies. Infection, which multiple Reddit threads have actually named the single worst zombies map of all time. I do my best to wear my rose-tinted goggles whenever possible, and I've certainly done my fair share of Advanced Warfare defending, but Ascendance, it was a complete joke of DLC. Absolutely nothing of value was added to the game, and before you watch this video, you probably forgot any of that content existed. I mean, you might have remembered Infection due to how awful it was, but I don't think that's the legacy a video game wants to carry around. So in my opinion, this is the most worthless DLC pack in COD history. Sure, the Variety Mac pack may have been more insulting, and the Black Ops Pass may have been more controversial, but when it comes down to the content, Ascendance takes the cake. And there you have it, my friends. Let me know one DLC that deserved to be on this list, and I'll see you soon.